Well, friends, guess what? We're back. Back again.
And the sun is shining.
Yeah, the sun's out today. And I guess tomorrow's going to be in the mid-50s.
Yeah, this is the 10th, 11th of February.
Yeah.
And just think, every day that we get that's decent, that's one less day winter going to hit.
And that's a good way of looking at it. You know, the other way oh, talk about fear and superstition and all that. One of the things that I did, I worked at the Foxborough Company the first 30 years I worked. Right over in Foxborough, Mass. And I judged the end of winter by I could drive home. We got out at 5.
Yeah.
I could drive home without my headlights.
Yep. Used to when we would get out at 5 o'clock, and all of a sudden you noticed at 5 o'clock it was still light.
Yep.
Things are changing.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
When I didn't have to put the headlights on, we were over the hump. That and St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. Well,
St. Patrick's Day, I would take the day off, and I'd go to the service station. I'd have them take the snow tires off.
well, you were balls. You were ballsy.
Yeah.
Tempting fate like that. I was always afraid to do that.
And then I would go out and spend the afternoon drinking beer with the boys.
No, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And that was my way of ending winter. Spring started the next day.
I always thought of winter like the meteorologists do. There's, it's January, February, December, January, and February was winter, and March, April, and May were spring, and then divided that way, rather than that silliness of March 21st and September 21st.
Yeah.
That really doesn't have anything to do with us because that's something on the 42nd parallel or one of the other things where the sun crosses it.
Yeah. But anyway, I used to do that. Well, my friends, I'm going to start off on a rather sad note.
Yep.
But this week, we were shocked by the passing of our dear friend Dottie Chitty. Dottie was everyone's friend. I never heard her say a bad word about anyone.
No, she wouldn't.
No.
Nuh-uh.
She absolutely sparkled. And when she chatted with everybody in the senior center, nonstop, well, when she was there, she always wanted to help. Can I help you do this? Can I help you do that? And I know that Doris Day was America's sweetheart. But please believe me when I tell you that she was Norfolk's sweetheart.
Oh, absolutely.
And now she's gone. But her memory will always be with us. She's gone to a better place. I'll always remember Dot's laughter. I'll treasure the memories I have. And I will always remember her. And we all extend our deepest sympathies to her family, but also to the town of Norfolk, because the town of Norfolk is much poorer with her passing.
Yep. And she had a sense of humor.
Yeah.
That was very soft and very subtle, but it was there. And
It was there.
She could always find something to make you laugh.
She'd sneak up on you with a comment. She was so much fun. And I really, I just can't say enough good things about her. It's impossible to say anything bad about her. She was just one terrific lady.
She was always looking to help somebody.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she'd get bent out of shape. Like on our lunches, our Wednesday lunches. What can I do to help? I said, I think we got it covered, Dottie.
She always wanted
Well,
to serve or pick up
Yeah,
trash
and then
or
she'd
something.
get angry. She'd say, "Well, I got to do something to help." She was funny. I'll tell you, the good Lord must be enjoying having her up there.
Yep.
She adds that spontaneity and fun to every day. Well, Dottie, my sweet, rest in peace.
We're going to miss you.
Yep, big time.
I won't have anybody to give a hard time to.
No, we'll find somebody, but
I'll find somebody.
the trucking protest in Canada
Canada?
is being felt up north and now really impacting us here in America.
Oh, yeah, it's going to.
There are shortages showing up big time. Plants are showing down. There's going to be layoffs. Now the U.S. truckers are talking about a convoy across the country to land in Washington, D.C. on March 1st, the date of the State of the Union address. Homeland Security is monitoring the situations on orders from ?
What a great way. You don't have to go to war.
No,
What a great way to shut down a country.
yeah. Social media is being scanned by them.
Yep.
You know, so we have to come up with an official stance on this, the Bill Crane report stance.
You know what I found very interesting this morning? Guess who expressed their disapproval of this? Because it's now hurting them, the Teamsters.
Oh dear.
Oh, gee, they're almost all Teamsters in the trucks. But now all the Teamster jobs, like some of the auto shops are not auto workers or Teamsters, all of a sudden they're going to lose their jobs and lose their money. Now the Teamsters say, hey, wait a minute, guys. Let's rethink this.
You know, isn't it amazing how things work? But one of the things that I was amazed at, quite honestly, is the liberals, the progressives, protest by burning our cities and looting our stores and killing our police officers. This protest by the truckers has been totally 100% peaceful.
Here.
Here.
Not so much in Canada.
Well, they're not murdering and policemen and looting up there.
No, they're not yet.
No. I don't think they will.
I don't know. It depends on how they react to it.
Well, Trudeau is walking a very interesting tightrope.
Mm-hmm.
He's not gonna come out of this looking good. I'll tell you.
There is no good looking.
No,
good.
no.
But this is a situation I see where if you are wishy-washy, I don't know, go ahead, do what you want from the beginning, the genie comes out of the bottle and it's too late to stop it.
You cannot put the genie back in the bottle.
Nope.
No.
Not now.
Cannot be done. So, what's going to be our stance on the Bill Crane report?
I don't know. Well, I'd say you got a right to protest. Okay? You've got a right to be heard. You don't have a right to stop somebody else from making a living. You don't have a right to stop a block of some streets to people can't get to a hospital. You don't have a right to infringe on somebody else. When you do that, you lose your right.
You think perhaps it's gone a little too far up there, north of the border?
Well, they started to threaten them. They were trying to close down the streets on a couple of the major hospitals, so the ambulances couldn't even get through.
That's wrong.
That's
Totally
wrong.
wrong. Totally wrong. Well, I'm on the side of the truckers, but it's got to be totally all above board. There cannot be any of that underhanded wool. But it's a tough deal.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder how our president is going to weigh in on this.
He won't do anything.
No, he won't. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The nation has stopped. We're floundering, leaderless. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's gone out. And we have a president hiding behind the skirts of Jan Pataki. Inflation has closed schools. No intelligent plan for COVID. Only hysterical knee-jerk restrictions and reactions. No border restrictions. No attention to all the people flooding in illegally. The border czar, Kamala Harris, our vice president, is the ultimate practical joke played on America. A cruel hoax. Her, the border czar. There is no plan for America right now. And you can scoff if you will, but Make America Great Again was a huge success. Remember that wonderful old tune, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered? It describes President Biden perfectly. Bewitched, bothered, and bewildered. It should become his theme song, and Jan Pataki could sing it before the president's extremely rare press conferences. No wonder Hillary Clinton is chomping at the bit to run again in 2024. And I'll tell you what, that thought really makes your oatmeal taste funny in the morning. One last thought for some more upset for your oatmeal. The sight of Biden and Harris handling the Ukraine standoff crisis. That really makes the old oatmeal taste good in the morning. And on that note, the University of Michigan consumer sentiment went down 7 points this month to 61.7. That is a huge drop.
Oh, that is.
People are not happy. Not happy at all.
We got to take a real hard look at some of the things that we do. And you touched on one that it's a talking point for one side all the time, and that's immigration. We get the idea right now that the gates are open and they're flooding in. We actually need people. There's not a business around that's not looking for a cook, a dishwasher. Service industry has nobody.
I agree.
Why in the hell can't we go to wherever they want to come from? I don't care. You want to be a cook? You want a thing? You can come in here if you work.
There is a legal way to do it.
Yes, but it's so damn slow and so tied up.
Well, yes.
We need workers now.
That's to immigrate with the long-range plan of
That's
becoming a citizen.
Yes.
There should be a work
Well, like
permit.
they used to have a work permit crew.
Yeah.
They would come the Cape was big on that. The summer
Yeah.
I don't know what they called them. Not interns, but summer jobs. They
Yeah,
would come
summer
from
jobs.
Ireland
Yeah,
and
that's exactly right.
England and different places. They come in here by the thousands.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Trump said, no more of that. And what happened? Boom, nobody's got any workers.
Yeah.
We're going to close the borders.
Well, I agree with closing the borders because we got to know who the devil we have.
Well, yeah, we do, but we can't just shut it off.
But
'cause
here's
we
the
need
thing.
people.
Here's the thing. the catch and release program
Oh,
down
that's
there's
great.
alive and well.
That's crazy.
They write them up and give them a court date.
Yeah.
91% of the people do not
They
show
just
up for their
disappear.
court date.
Yeah.
They disappear. Where do they go? I don't know. Maybe they're all hiding in South Dakota.
The whole legal system's like that. You know, the amount of no-shows on a court on a bail is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
These people who get bail, allow them post bail, and they've already missed 2 or 3 court dates. And they got caught because they got rearrested someplace. But yet they'll turn around and give them bail again.
Or release them on their own personal
Recognizance, yeah.
recognizance. We are getting to the point where we are not making people responsible for their actions.
No, we're not.
Okay? It's all, Duane, if you promise to be a good boy and
Yep.
now you get serious about looking for a job
Yeah.
and sign here and we'll release you on your own reconnaissance.
I'm going back to that. I don't like appointing judges for life.
I tell you,
we gotta be able to get rid of them guys
and gals.
and gals. I've used that term both ways. But if a judge releases an individual saying he's not a threat to society, take responsibility for what you just did. Not him, the person that let him out.
How about Rachel Rollins? She was district
jeepers.
attorney. She held responsible
No.
for all those criminals that she let out.
And
Just said, here's you were convicted on trumped up evidence by the corrupt people at the drug center that were analyzing the drugs that were seized. They didn't. They were using them themselves, jabbing themselves. Both of them were drug addicts.
Yeah. But some of the candidates now for her job are even worse than she was.
I don't see how you could get any worse, but
Because one of them just said yesterday, we've got to continue those policies that she started.
yeah.
We've got to carry them to the end.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
They're so successful.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now, if we could wave a magic wand, got any magic wands?
There it is.
There it is.
Looks like a pencil, but it's not.
All right. And we could look at I'll just pick a number,
Yeah, it
10,000
doesn't matter.
people, that drug offenders. They're non-violent, you know.
They're not.
Yeah. That we released from prison en masse because of that big mess at the laboratory. How many of them went back out selling that stuff? And how many people died of overdoses?
Many.
Yeah.
You don't know the number, but it's substantial.
Yeah. I think it would be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not their fault. I mean, they can't get a job, so that they do this. They hold their nose and sell drugs, but it's the addicts' fault. They're the ones that are buying this. Well, what a bunch of crap that
It's
is.
not even just drugs. It's things like, well, I want it, so I take it.
Yeah.
Theft, shoplifting. She doesn't believe shoplifting was a crime.
Yeah. Well,
Because it hurts the people of color if you convict
yeah.
them.
Yeah. And it was what? Now, there's one. L.A. was, if it's over $900, then it's a crime.
Yeah.
In Massachusetts, they're talking about something, and they said, well, anything over $230, we should arrest them.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, the people at CVS are told, don't confront the looters. If they come in and just wipe stuff off the shelves and walk out the door, do not interface with them. Let them go.
That's employee safety.
Yeah.
I was in store management when I got out of school, out of college, and we had a program too, our policy that where there wasn't so much looting then, but there was robberies.
Mm-hmm.
if somebody comes in with a mask on and a gun, don't play hero.
No.
Hand them the money and
Give them what they want.
let them get the hell out of there. We'll let the county sheriffs chase them.
Yeah, let the pros get them. Yeah. But we've lost the will to confront or to prosecute these people. As if, well, by being lenient with them, we're leading them to a better life. They're laughing.
No, they're laughing at us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, exactly right. Because you don't, it's not that kind of personality that takes that to heart and say, you know, they gave me a break. They were really nice to me, so I don't think I'll do it again.
Yeah.
That mentality that does it says, patsies.
Yeah.
Patsies,
And-
I got a free reign.
Yeah. And when he is back paroled out into the community with on the wrist, then he says, well, I need some money. How am I going to get it? Unemployment? No, can't get that.
No.
I haven't been employed. So what's going to happen? It's like water seeking its own level. He's going to start hustling drugs again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's always the path of least resistance.
Yeah. And how we do that and hold their hand and tell them we love them, and all this that goes with it, this is something that we don't appear to be solving particularly well, but the other side, the progressives, are failing miserably too, as they clean out stores.
That's right.
And kill people.
Yep.
Man alive. I did see one thing this morning in the Herald, which I was very happy about. Dot Pimp put away for 11 plus years. A Dorchester
I
man
know. Yeah, I had to put that together. Who that was.
prosecuted
Yeah.
called a pimp who engaged
Yeah.
in sex trafficking of multiple people, including a teenage minor, was sentenced to 11 and a half years in prison on various sex offense charges. Now, should we legalize prostitution?
Should we legalize prostitution? That I've thought about before. Not.
Yeah, now I've got it on my list of things for you and I to talk about when we decide there's going to be a that kind of a show. Let's do it right now.
Well, off the top of my head, I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Legalize it, regulate it, and take the criminal element out of it.
Yep. However, this is a slippery slope
Oh, yeah.
because the pimps are going to want in.
That's
They're
what-
going to see this and they're going to say, I got a license to steal now.
well,
So how do we separate the pimps from the prostitutes? State run?
absolutely. It has to be in an area, a legalized area. You remember?
Europe does a job of
Yeah,
this.
Amsterdam was famous for that until the
in
tourists started overrunning it.
Germany.
I have never been to Germany, but Amsterdam, I know they had the red light district,
Yep.
and it was so popular it became a tourist attraction.
Oh, yeah.
And you couldn't even walk down the streets because the tourists were out looking in the windows.
I was one of them.
Yeah, I thought I saw you
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I had the phony mustache
Yeah.
on. But and in Nuremberg, I used to go to Nuremberg a lot when I was a driver in the motor pool in the Army. And when you go into one section called the old section, and by the way, it's the walled section. The walls are still there.
Okay.
And they are pockmarked with shells from World War II.
Okay, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
And they are never going to repair those
No, I
walls.
know-
They're going to
I
leave
know.
them that way
Yeah.
because it's a lesson for
Yeah.
everybody. But behind the walls was the red light section.
Okay.
And it was, other than that, I don't know how to describe it. but it was just women hanging out of windows.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's pretty
not
typical.
not exactly beauty queens either.
No, I don't think that was meant to be.
No.
But there's little moral difference between a 19-year-old good-looking young lady that hooks up with some old goat like you and I, and I'm using that term loosely, buying her diamond necklaces and bracelets and cars and all that for certain benefits.
Yeah.
That's legal. But if she comes up to one of us and says, "Hey, I'll do it for $200,"
Yeah.
that's not legal.
Yeah.
The end result is
Even though
exactly
she's
the
going to
same.
go buy baubles
Yeah,
and
and she'll buy 'em
clothes
herself.
and everything. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
There's
I never
there's
really
no
thought
difference.
Of it
The
that
end
way.
result is exactly the same.
When I worked at Foxborough, I had a lot of good friends over there.
First of all, honey, I don't have $200.
No, no.
Nor at my age.
Second of all, when I went to Nuremberg, I parked the sedan a distance away, and I walked back just to see what the devil was going on.
Sure.
Uh, hey GI, hey GI.
Oh, yeah, I
no, yelling and everything. But that was as far as that went.
In Vietnam, they call it boom boom. You want boom boom?
But I worked at the Foxborough Company, and I had a wide range of friends over there. Part of it was my first job was I used to push a 4-poster truck around. We had multiple departments.
What's a 4-post truck?
A truck with 4 wheels and maybe 3 shelves on
Oh,
it
okay.
that rolled.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I had a route. And I would, different departments had an incoming shelf
Okay.
and an outgoing shelf. And if they were doing a job of polishing widgets, when they're set to, they were done with their operation, there'd be a card with it that would tell the different departments that had to work on that stuff. And my job was to pick it up and look. Okay, 606 has done their job. I take it to 67 now for inspection. And I'd put it on my cart, and eventually when I got to 67, I'd offload it onto there. So I walked around doing that 4 times a day, the whole Neponset
Okay.
plant. No, I didn't go upstairs. I didn't do floors 2 and 3. There was another guy that took care of that end. But so I got to meet
Oh yeah, you know the whole whole
everybody.
area.
And one of my really good friends was a Foxborough selectman. He worked in the inspection department. And if I ever mentioned his name, as he's dead and passed away many, many years ago, but he was a great guy, and he would set me straight on things. Just for instance, how's everything going today, Bill? Well, all right. I just had a run-in with a jerk a couple of stops back, and he says, Ed. He says, yeah, biggest pain in the butt in the world, isn't he?
Oh yeah,
He says, he's got a da-da-da-da, and this, that, and the other thing. But anytime anything like that came up, he was always there to answer questions about Foxborough and tell me about people, and he was just a great guy. So, this job, Foxborough Company was an easy place to work. And this job lent itself to me stopping and visiting with a myriad of people every day. This guy, I would go see him, and is the guy that worked at the bench with him, his assistant. And I noticed a lady walk by, and he said to me, do you know her, Bill? I said, no. So he said, well, her name is, she's a very interesting lady. She's gotten promoted a couple of times because of her friendship with another gentleman that was in a high place. I saw, interesting. So he just, blah, blah, blah. So another day, he told me, he said, you ready for the second half of the story? I said, sure. He said, I have it on good authority from a friend of mine who lost his wife, that she does nice things for her male friends. And she has 4 or 5 guys that she sees at her home on a fairly regular basis. Kids, goofballs, drug addicts, drunks need not apply.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
I've always thought about her when something like this comes up. What harm is she doing?
nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Other than the moralists would tell you that.
Now, that's another story.
Yeah.
And that's a discussion for her and her conscience.
Mm-hmm.
But what's she doing to the general population? First of all, damn few people knew about it. I never repeated that story. Never.
Nothing. It's no different if she had 3 or 4 boyfriends.
Exactly. And there was plenty of those kinds of girls. But I've often reflected on, who did she harm?
Yeah. I think this whole thing came down to originally was society, the morality of society. Somebody determined that this was immoral. This was not right.
Well, it's right out of the Bible,
Yeah, then it went into that. It goes into the legal system, etc.
Yeah. And then I guess the politicians got involved.
Of course, that's when
the bane of our existence.
They had to get in to make it to influence the legal system. You look at different countries now. You saw in Germany, and I saw in
Holland.
Different. Their attitudes towards these kind of things are totally different.
Yeah.
You get to the Scandinavian, they're not they.
There's no problem.
The sexual mores are much looser.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're loose; they just they're not hung up on all these things.
Yeah. And Vienna.
Yeah.
The same way. Mm-hmm. I mean, they all seem to have their red light district.
Yeah.
And they look at it just about as seriously as a shoe shine parlor. Mm-hmm. I'll go get my shoes shined.
Yeah.
It is no big thing. Bob Kraft ran amok in this country by a bunch of phonies who went, "Ooh, look what he did, the millionaire and all this stuff, and power, and he can do anything he wants, he's a billionaire, and oh, this is terrible, and all that." Giving a masseur $100 and then giving her a $200 tip afterwards. Where's the evil in that?
There isn't. But the evil, or the difference is that got people irritated. He got caught in the legal system and saying, "Yeah, I did it." He used his millions to try to circumvent the problem.
And
if he would have just said, he went back the second day even. He was said, "Yeah, I did. I was lonely. She's pretty." There would have been some headlines, something in the paper. It would have went over people's head. But he had to fight it. He had to spend millions of dollars on attorneys. And then people said, see, the rich and the powerful.
The fix is in.
The fix is coming in. And it kept bringing it back into the news over and over and over.
I think he probably did it for his family.
I don't know why he did it, but that's,
Other than that, but
he had already admitted he did it.
Yeah, but
that was the problem.
Here's the thing that drives me crazy. Why go do something like that
I'm just going to say, I think it was a
When-
major act of stupidity on his part.
when you could pick up the telephone and call the maitre d' downstairs at the place you're staying,
And you're living in a multi-million-dollar palace someplace.
yeah,
With pools and anything
And-
you want.
yeah,
And you go to some sleazy strip mall.
yeah.
And God knows who's been in there just before you.
And by picking up the phone
Yeah,
and talking to the maitre d', and you could have a beautiful
anything you want.
professional come up and sing to you.
But you're going out and slumming it with the unwashed
Yeah.
masses.
Yeah.
That to me, that was a case of stupidity. I
And
think.
you know what? That's exactly what we were talking about.
Yep.
He just considered it, phew, going to get my shoes shined.
Yep.
Going to get my shirts pressed or something. And yet we made this great big hoorah about it. Now, let me ask you something. Prior to that, he had a protege, a young lady, that traveled with him and
Okay.
went places with him.
Yeah, you did have somebody.
Yeah, she was very attractive, you know, 27, 28, 29
you're
years
right.
old.
Yeah, I'm,
And where was the sense of outrage about that?
it wasn't.
And yet, I'm sure he showered her with gifts and was very generous to her. And but I don't know, our sensibilities are askew somehow.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question about it.
But one last thing about the pimp. In my workings with the homeless, I got to talk to all kinds of people,
Yeah.
and one of them, well, more than one of them, was a street hooker. Well, we used to, give her clothes and hot coffee and sandwiches and stuff. And she was just working off the street. Sometimes she was homeless, sometimes, but, And I talked to her one night, and I said, one of the things that we can help you with is to get you into counseling. We can get you into one of these homes for women, battered women, and help you get back on your feet. Well, I can't do that. I said, why not? It's just because I got to make $100 a day for my pimp.
Yeah. That exploitation is really,
Yep.
really hard.
Yeah. And when you're in her position, she was getting it in $10 dribs and drabs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, a couple of weeks later, she came and she looked like her face had got run over by a Mack truck.
You can bet that was the pimp.
She only got $81.
Yeah.
And he pounded her silly. And she said, I can't be seen talking to you. He's right in the area watching me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I saw her a couple or 3 weeks later, and he had done another round on her.
Oh, they're not
And-
nice guys, I'll
Yep.
tell you.
And then never saw her again.
Mm-hmm.
But these pimps keep the working girls, in line
Oh, yeah.
with drugs and the fist.
Yep.
If we were to legalize prostitution, it would be about 10 minutes later when they'd be trying to figure a way
To get into it.
to get into it. Yeah.
Right now, they don't even need the 10 minutes.
No, you're right. Yeah.
No, You're not slowing them down at all.
Yeah. And there was a couple of the homeless guys would get Social Security checks, disability checks, and that kind of stuff. And they stayed in a certain area underneath one of the bridges during the summer. And they were visited by a pimp on the first of the month, or the second of the month, when they got their checks. And his name was Pinky.
That's appropriate, I guess.
Yeah. And Pinky would come around and beat them up and steal the money they got.
Well, I thought maybe Pinky was charging them
No,
10% or 15%.
nope. He'd try to beat them up and take their money.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's
Yeah. And they all used to run and hide from him, and then it would calm down after like the 6th or 7th day because Pinky knew that they had spent their money by then on booze or whatever. But he was telling me that Pinky is one bad dude.
oh,
And he says, if you won't give him money, he'll beat you until you're unconscious.
they're predators. That's
Yeah.
exactly what they are.
So I don't, and if I hate like hell to see the city of Boston or the state of Massachusetts get involved in running brothels, to me, that's not what state government should be doing. But by the same token, if we say, well, we'll legalize it, there's got to be some framework of this organization. Well, we probably wasted enough time on this, huh?
Oh, well, no, I think it's a subject that I think not many people think about very often.
Yeah.
But it is something that we as a society, should address.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. And how we go about it? Well, the churches will be outraged.
Oh my God! You can't even.
The moralists.
The moralists in the churches, you can't. They have a whole different agenda. So that's.
Yeah. So I guess there's probably no champion to take this cause up and say, this is what we've got to do as a group.
That's an interesting point. Who would champion that?
Yeah. Will the hookers form a union?
some women's group? Or
Yeah.
The local knitting club?
Yeah. There you go.
Maybe them groups that our wives belong to at the senior center want to take care of it.
Well, they could act as front men for us.
If you see them, we go home tonight and tell them, hey, Bill and I got an idea for you guys.
Oh, God, then she'll be smothering me at night with the pillow, and that'll be the
Yeah, I
end of
know.
my career.
I'll just get that, you're disgusting look.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Well, here's a shocker for you.
Okay.
Mass and cabs.
Okay.
Camps are gone,
Yeah,
but the problems persist.
Surprise,
The crime
surprise.
is still there. And this is written as though this is some big shock.
Yeah, I know it. Just
The-
because the tents are gone, then it was like, well, the problem's gone. It's
Yeah,
out of sight, out of mind.
yeah. Well, you got the Pine Street Inn down there.
Yep.
You've got the homeless congregating around it to eat and to sleep there and then hang around the
You
street.
still got the same drug pushers.
That's
the same
it,
dealers
exactly.
Walking up and down the
Yeah.
street. Yep.
I'm amazed sometimes that people think, well, we tear those tents down and wash the streets and clean it up. Bingo! The problem goes away.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No, the people are still
The
there.
tents were not the problem.
No, that's right. The tents made their miserable life a little bit gentler.
Yeah. Well,
They were able to get in and out of the rain.
It brought to point that there is a problem here. There's people that shouldn't be here doing this. But now you won't see it. It'll be out of sight, out of mind. Now, I got to ask you, did you see that thing in the paper this morning about actually it was a letter to the editor his idea about all these townhouses and places out in Devons that are
No.
going. He said, "Well, why can't we put 14,000 apartments out in Devons?" Well, yeah, but what are they gonna do?
Where are they going to work?
What are they gonna do? Yeah,
They don't have cars. They're homeless.
yeah.
Yeah.
I said, that's like, well, they got a lot of space out there to build other stuff. I said, that's like saying, well, New Mexico's got
Lots of
thousands of miles
yeah.
of flat space out there. Why don't we just put out some low-cost housing, set it out there in the middle of the desert?
Yep.
Well, you got plenty of room,
That's right.
but there's nothing
Exactly.
there.
First of all, just think about things. Where do they go shopping for food?
That's right. There's no infrastructure for it.
Where do they get medical care? What do they do for entertainment? But what do they do for employment to make money?
Exactly. But that's not brought in. That's just
Yeah.
that short-sightedness of problem solving is, again, it's like, all right, problem solved. We just solved it, but you didn't solve it.
No,
You just caused something other problem.
that's right. Exactly. Oh, well, we'll have to hire another think group.
Ain't any different than these people that say we got to get rid of fossil fuels, we got to switch to electric. They never say where the hell that electric's coming from.
Because they don't want to.
They don't know.
They don't know. You're right.
And they don't want to know. They don't
And
want you to
yet-
bring that in because it destroys their logic.
And yet, we are disassembling
Yeah.
the best pollution-free form of energy generation. We're tearing the nuclear power plants
That's
down.
right.
Talk about stupidity. But you're
Oh,
right.
I know. It's ludicrous.
It is.
We got every car that goes off the gasoline powered car and switch to electric. Well, that's fine, but where are you going to plug it in, and how do you get the electricity to plug it into?
And by the way, as you notice, our president and his dynamite organization handling the energy crisis, as he's delighting in the price of gas going up. Because now, when you bring your electric car home and plug it in, that $36 it was going to cost you to put a full charge into it, a tank of gas is $50, so this is better. Give me a break.
What's it?
And then
We don't have the generating capacity to keep switching things from, I'll use the word fossil fuel. To me, that's not a bit dirty word. It is to some of these people. To switch from fossil fuel to clean, renewable energy, as they call it, there's not enough of the second item to go around to fill the first item. So,
it is very short-sighted to say, get the electric car, plug it in.
and
Oh boy, that was more money than I thought it was, but it's clean.
Well, even the money, but it's not available.
The power plant that is generating it is using either natural gas or coal or oil.
Or
All
oil.
right? So what are you saving? Nothing.
nothing. You're just moving the source of the pollution from point A, which was coming out of the tailpipe of the automobile, to point B, with generating plant.
It's almost
But-
like three-card Monty down
exactly.
in
It's
yeah.
like-
Do you know what shell the pea is under? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know what? And the progressives. Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we're going to take every building and we're going to change them all around and turn them into electric heat.
And
Oh, yeah. Who's
all
gonna-
you bozos everywhere are going to get heat pumps.
Oh, yeah, the heat pump.
Yeah. That's another magic word.
Oh, they
heat
work.
Pumps.
They work fine. They're expensive.
Yeah.
Very expensive.
Oh no,
And they
no,
take
no! You
electricity.
must be reading the wrong stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
these,
I looked
these
at
heat pumps,
them.
Yeah, these heat pumps are really
Cost me about
efficient.
$9,000 to put them in.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, when the temperature gets below zero,
They don't work
yeah,
too
those
well.
babies don't generate a whole hell of a lot of heat.
Heat pumps are really good for people that live in Virginia,
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah, Kansas.
It's not too cold and not too hot, and they're good for that.
Yep. By the by, what's really interesting is these. President Biden is awarding spiffs to General Motors and to Ford for developing electric cars. They're giving them tax
Yeah.
credits that they can pass along somewhat to consumers. But yet, the number one selling electric car in this country doesn't get any of those tax credits.
No, they used them.
Oh, no, do you know why?
Hmm.
Because their plants are not unionized.
Oh, okay.
It's actually written into it for unionized companies.
Okay, yeah.
So that's why the folks at Tesla get their backs arched when we give more and more and more of these tax breaks to GM and Ford. He doesn't get any. And the answer is, well, unionize and you will.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know the Biden gets a lot of responsibility and a lot of blame, and he observes it, but he doesn't deserve everything.
Yeah.
Because some of that crap came from the previous administration, which came from the previous administration, which came from the previous administration.
There's enough blame to go around.
Today again, I saw. Did you see the article that the people that father and son that pay between $6,000 and $7,000 a month or a year for insulin?
No.
Well, that was going to be cured. I saw Trump's press conference. He stood there and said, "I'm signing legislation today that's going to make insulin cheaper than water," and everybody cheered and yayed. And Monica even called her brother, Byron, in the Midwest. He's a juvenile diabetic. Huge amounts of it. She says, Byron, good news. Your insulin is going to be cheaper than water.
Guess what?
He laughed. It's not. They're still spending insulin. Diabetic patients still sending $6,000-7,000 a year for insulin. It never went anyplace except up. But see, they don't. Now you say, well, damn Biden, insulin's $6,000 a year. Well, it wasn't him. It was. It's the drug companies where they let him do it all them years.
Do you know there's only one solution to that?
Okay.
And I hate the thought of this, and in fact, I will probably tear my tongue out after I say this. But it's we tell the drug manufacturers, look, we're going to nationalize the insulin drug manufacturer. We're going to get in the business ourselves, and we are going to pass it along to the people at cost or less than cost.
Okay.
And if you people can't figure out a way around this, well, we're going to take all the business away from you.
Yep.
I don't see any way around it other than that. I mean,
No.
you can threaten these guys, you can cajole them, you can say, I'll give you tax breaks and all that. But if all that fails, and
Yeah.
they've certainly had, the drug manufacturers have certainly dug in their heels.
Oh my God. Turn TV on. What do you see most of from 5 o'clock in the afternoon until 11 o'clock at night? Commercials.
Stuff about the elderly and different medications.
You're going to live longer. This won't cure.
Yeah.
Ask your doctor about Xarelto. In demand that you get, I don't even know the names of them, this drug and that drug. Well, it costs $300 a pill. Well, so what?
Yeah, my insurance will pay for it.
My insurance pay for it. Yeah. We're the only country in the world that allows prescription drug advertising.
Yep.
Because you can't buy it. It has to be done through your doctor. You're trying to influence your doctor's decision. And he says, "Oh, if you want it, I'll borrow it here." It used to be he'd get kickbacks for it. And they started threatening to go into jail for that.
Yeah.
And then drug companies use that expense, and that's a big expense. Those ads are expensive.
Sure.
They say they'll go to the FDA and say, "See, we've got this much expense. We got $100 million we spent on advertising that drug. We should get another 8%.
Yeah, we've got to earn it back.
We should get that back plus our profit on top of what we just spent on the advertising." Oh, okay, you can do that.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that a drug that costs $100 or $100 in Canada costs $300, $500 here.
Yeah.
It's the same drug from the same company.
That's exactly right.
One's on one side of the border and one's on the other side of the border.
Yep. We get it's the politicians. I mean, and the big companies.
Yep.
Hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Very, very difficult.
And I'm not one that says, "Oh, it's big pharma or big companies versus us," because it's not. Well, it is some areas it is on pricing and stuff, but it's not the fact that they don't care. They just want to maximize profits for their shareholders, which is right.
That's what they're in business.
That's what they're in business for.
And that's what the president of the company. That's what his plan,
Yep.
his bonus plan is based on. Is
That's
improving.
why he exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you. Well, you know what, Duane? I was saying to myself, we'll only get barely into the pile.
We never
I
get
haven't
very
even
far
got
in
to
the
the
pile.
pile yet.
I know it. That's all right, though.
So, folks, we're going to take a break. And this segment will allow you folks to go to the refrigerator or to the powder room or whatever, and then we'll come right back.
We'll guarantee you we're not going to talk about combing your puppy or baking any cookies or. You can count on it.
It's one thing you can count on with us.
Yep.